And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com to download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Get to the app. They will deliver pretty much anywhere in the 275 loop, so you can get that Galactic goodness brought right to your front door. Or Wednesday through Sunday, lunch and dinner, they will get you hooked up. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15% on all kinds of stuff. Get yourself some chicken tendies, some fried chicken, some chicken dunkers, French fries, fried pickles, deviled eggs, all kinds of good stuff from our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken. All right, Aaron, let's get to it. Interesting couple topics today. I don't want to really do any basketball stuff today. I think we have exhausted the Tulane game. A lot of content we've got from the Tulane game. Pardon the punctuation last night, the nightcap last night, and an explosive 30 minutes or so from Dave and I tonight on the BCJ podcast.
That was wild.
It's like that's good. Like that's what I love though, because Dave had good points. I get where Dave's coming from in terms of win the fucking games. Like I don't want reasons. I don't want anything. You're up by 7 with 2.5 minutes left. Win the game. And I'm coming from a point of being a basketball nerd and knowing what basketball looks like and trying to explain it. And Dave was not interested in my explanation. So I'm sure there is plenty of that on both sides that some people will agree with and some people will disagree with, and that will get a lot of conversation. So check out tonight's BCJ podcast with John Cunningham, with Dave and I going back and forth on basketball. And then the long-awaited reappearance of conference realignment expert Dan Simon.
Because what is the Pac-12 doing?
George Kliakoff is at the SMU basketball game right now with Pac-12 officials.
If that doesn't tell you that the Pac-12 is hurting, I don't know what does.
Right. We got 2 topics for you tonight. We'll start with one that's a little bit more fun and less newsy. There was some newsy stuff today as the combine invites went out. 6 Bearcats on that list. We will discuss that here shortly. But first, we saw a redraft, our first redraft of the 2022 draft.
Yeah.
With a familiar name at number 1. And we said it. We tried to tell people. We tried to tell you that the best player in the 2022 draft was Ahmad Sauce Gardner.
Just wait until he goes up against the pros.
Yeah.
That's what we heard
for
2 years.
He went up against a plethora of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and he was inarguably, if you look at the metrics, he was inarguably the best cornerback in the NFL this season.
Yeah, it's kind of funny too when you start reading into some of the comments he's made and some of the things that have been said where he doesn't believe that a touchdown was actually scored on him the entire season. Although I believe he's credited with 1 or 2.
He's credited with at least 1, and the one that he's credited with, I know for sure, it is clear he was guarding someone else, saw the ball in the air, peeled off his man, tried to make a play, and it ended up being a touchdown. I don't know how you credit that to Sauce.
Whatever. The zone coverages that people have tried to critique him on too.
I think this is where it got tricky. Is I don't think that was a zone coverage. I think that was a man coverage where Sauce just saw the ball in the air and went and tried to make a play. So it got kind of dumped on him.
I think if they're using him in zone at any point in time, they're wasting his talent, period.
Right.
End of discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the NFL, you have to mix up the looks for the quarterback some. I don't agree. I would never play him in zone. I would play 10 guys in zone and then Sauce on an island in man-to-man coverage. And UC did a lot of that. Like,
sure,
Mike Tressel did Freeman didn't do it as much. Tressel did a lot of and Tressel even played 9-man zones where Sauce was in coverage, Kobe was in coverage, and everybody else was playing an area.
Right.
But that's been pretty fun to watch him go from what we saw and we knew, and we saw from the angle of watching each week what teams did to
Not
go
throw.
out of their way to not throw anywhere near it.
Not even look at that side of the field.
Nick Saban was like, nah, fam.
Well, and I guess this is where I'm still annoyed that any evaluator thought that Derek Stingley was going to be better than him this year. Now, credit to Derek Stingley. He had a good season. Not a great season, but a good season.
Sure.
He, I think, will be just fine, but he's
coming off a good corner.
Coming off a huge injury. I don't know what made anybody think that this is the guy. Now,
because
I don't
recruiting rankings had him as like the next chosen one. They had him as the guy. And his injuries weren't like, and this is not defending the situation. This is just like scout speak, NFL speak. His injuries weren't like, okay, we got to worry about this injury for the rest of his career, or like it's going to derail.
He just didn't play the season before he was drafted, though. So I don't know why anybody thought he was going to bounce back after not having played college speed for a year, bounce back and play NFL speed and be okay. It seemed strange to pull the trigger there. Now, that said, I'm happy that Sauce ended up in New York with the media market there, as opposed to in Houston, where he may have gotten lost in the sauce.
He definitely would not have gotten the attention. Although I do think just Sauce and like
his personality, his nickname, his moniker, all of that. I mean, yeah, sure. But I don't think it would have been at the same level. I don't know that he would have elevated to the places that he's elevated to now.
Here's the one thing about him. He's one of those guys that the camera loves. Like the camera always finds him. Go back and look at the Pro Bowl over the weekend. The camera found him all the time. And give me a break with the whole like, oh, look, he looks like Frozone.
UC did that years ago.
Kobe did that year. That was Kobe. Kobe's been calling him Frozone like since he got here. Well, since he decided he was going to wear the hoodie, like the tight hoodie,
right,
at all times, Kobe started calling him Frozone. Like you're not original with that. Come on, give me a break. You did not find like you did not discover anything new. You just resurfaced something that UC fans, the UC community, and Kobe specifically had already discovered.
Now, if he had gone number 1 overall, he would have ended up in Jacksonville, and that would have been a very difficult place to make it where he has made it.
No. They were the hot story at the end of the year. Like, they're going to be great. If they, like, think how much better they would have been with a lockdown corner and Trevor Lawrence.
I don't disagree with any of that, but I'm saying as far as where he has gotten to is exposure and just being just the deal with B-Dubs. I don't know if he ends up with that deal or not if he's in Jacksonville. I just think things would have been a little bit different for Sauce and the exposure that he has had with the media in Jacksonville, which is a less media-friendly market than even Houston.
Yeah, I just think Sauce is a guy. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter with him.
I don't see Trevor Lawrence's face everywhere.
It's getting there.
It's getting there, but he had more exposure in college than he has in Jacksonville.
But what I would say is, what would be a lethal duo would be Sauce and Trevor Lawrence, like being the faces of that franchise. But I will also say Sauce got a lot of bump because the Jets quarterback situation was a disaster. Sure. So he was instantly the face of that team. Yeah. So yeah, awesome to like see validation for what we knew. We knew that Sauce was the best player in that draft. And it's now kind of being validated by others because as a rookie, he was the best rookie in the NFL, bar none.
Violence.
Yeah. The other pretty big news of the day, combine invites officially made public. 6 Bearcats, which I think if you'd have asked us last year after 9 Bearcats were at the combine, what would be the number last year? We would have taken, if you'd have set it at 5.5, we'd have taken the under. we didn't know if Tyler Scott would be in the draft. We didn't know if Trey Tucker would go into the draft.
Okay. I wasn't following. I thought you meant 5.5 for last year going into the combine last year. Okay.
No. I'm
with
talking
you
about
now. Yes.
After 9 went last year.
I would have taken
year.
I would have taken the under at 5.5 for this year's team. Sure.
Because I think we talked about it like 4 or 5. And so now you've got Ivan Pace.
Dog.
Trey Tucker.
Dog.
Tyler Scott.
Dog.
Josh Wiley.
Dog.
Leonard Taylor.
Dog.
Arquan Bush.
Dog.
6 Bearcats. And it's not the highest, but one of the top 5 or 6, I think, highest number of players invited to the combine in 2023. And I think it raises an interesting question. Are all these guys going to get drafted? And obviously it depends on largely how good they are at the combine, but all 6 of these guys have a chance to go in there and solidify that Cincinnati's going to follow a 9 draft pick team with a 6 draft pick team, which is outrageous.
Yeah, I think we're all curious to see what Arquan can do on that list.
Yes,
more than any
one that it's like he's got the most to prove.
Sure. That said, though, I don't know that anybody had Brian Cook going in the second round, even after the combine. I mean, I still can't believe that he went in the second round.
I thought third.
I also
I'm not gonna lie.
I thought day 2 for sure. And, but I didn't know that second round was going to be the spot.
And guess what? He's making an impact at Kansas City.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be shocked if he made a critical play to help them win the Super Bowl, much like he did to help them win the AFC Championship. The Bengals win the AFC Championship if he does not stay with T. Higgins, knock that ball in the air for an interception. He made the game-changing play. I know that gets under your skin. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't love that. I mean, you could do that with a bunch of different plays.
But that play, if that play goes for a touchdown to T. Higgins, the whole complexion of what happens after is drastically different.
And if they call the block in the back,
but
I know.
But that play was well before the
he made a huge play. There is no arguing that. So hat tip there. In any case, no, I mean, I'll be fascinated, probably more so with what Arquan can do. Also, Lenny, I think, has a chance to make sure that he's drafted as opposed to being one of the top names on the undrafted free agents that are called after the game or after the draft. Outside of that, those other 4 guys not getting drafted would shock me just as much as
Trey and Tyler. Like their 40s are going to be critical.
Sure.
Because if they bust 4.2s, like low 4.3s or high 4.2s, there's no way people pass on either of them.
No, and I think at that point you're talking if you see both of them end up in the 4.3s, 4.2s, then you're talking about third round.
There's been some stuff on Tyler second.
I've seen that, and I'm struggling to. I guess it would have to be the right fit. He's also a little younger than everybody else, so he's got that going for him as well. I don't know. We'll see. Tight end.
I've been the biggest Tyler Scott guy on the planet from day
one.
Sure.
Tight end being as heavy as it is, as strong as it is this season, does not help out Josh Wiley or Leonard Taylor as far as that where they're going to end up in the draft. But again, 2 guys that could certainly help themselves out in the combine. I don't know. It's going to be – and Ivan, he's got his height playing against him, but I would not be at all surprised. I've seen him being drafted in mock drafts anyway. That's everyone's favorite game this time of year when your team's out. But I've seen him in mocks anywhere from like the 4th to the 6th, somewhere in there.
He fits 2 places. He best fits 2 places. New England, Pittsburgh.
I wouldn't mind to see him in stripes, but
I don't know that he fits like what the Bengals do defensively with their linebackers.
I feel like I've seen Giants fans drafting him, which
I could see that with their new
him and Beavers out there together. Although they never played together, they never suited up together.
Probably should have.
Well, I'm sure they played together, right? At Coleraine.
Yeah, at some point I'm sure they would have. But Beavers would have been a safety, a DB, not a linebacker.
Just might be cool to see the Coleraine connection, and if he does end up landing in New York.
But again,
with Sauce also in New York. But
again, I'm terrified he's a perfect fit for the Steelers as a downhill.
I want to talk about that as much as I want to talk about Brian Cook breaking up a pass against the Bengals. So
that's the nightcap. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks to Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!